One last blind date. The CEO planned to leave after 5 minutes, but her laughter made him stay. Forever. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let's dive into today's story. One last blind date. That was what he thought. It was supposed to be another predictable, boring encounter, the kind that he had been through hundreds of times. Liam Parker, a successful tech entrepreneur, was tired of these setups, tired of the fake smiles, the forced conversations. Tonight, he had planned to do the same. Sit through the first few minutes, nod politely, and leave. It was a game he had mastered. But as he walked into the dimly lit restaurant, his eyes scanning the room, something was different. He noticed her immediately. Emma Brooks. She wasn't like the others. Her dress was second-hand, her shoes scuffed, and her eyes, those eyes, were filled with a mixture of excitement and nerves. She wasn't dressed in a way that screamed wealth or success. But there was something about her, something that made him pause. She looked so out of place, yet so real. His heart skipped a beat. She stood there, scanning the tables nervously. He could see her fidgeting, her hands shaking slightly as she held her phone. It was clear that this wasn't her usual scene. As he walked toward her, she looked up and their eyes met for a brief moment. "Hi, you must be Kevin," she said, offering a shy smile. Liam blinked, confused for a second. He wasn't Kevin. He was Liam, but before he could correct her, he saw the nervousness in her eyes. She had made a mistake, but it wasn't one of those awkward mistakes people usually make on blind dates. It was real, and that was when something clicked in him. He sat down across from her. "I'm Liam," he said softly, not wanting to make her feel more embarrassed than she already did. She smiled awkwardly, her cheeks turning pink. "Sorry, I guess I've got the wrong table." He didn't correct her. There was no rush to get things right. "Don't worry about it," he said, his voice warm, as he placed his phone down on the table. There was something about the way she was talking, so honest, so unpretentious, that immediately made him want to stay longer. She began talking about her life, her struggles working as a waitress, and her dream of opening her own art studio one day. She spoke with such passion, with a rawness he hadn't heard from anyone in years. Liam felt a strange pull. It wasn't about how pretty she was or the fact that she was clearly out of her comfort zone. No, it was her energy, her sincerity. "I'm sure you've heard this a million times," she said with a small laugh, "but I really hate blind dates. I mean, who wants to sit with a stranger and pretend everything is fine when you know it's just weird?" Liam chuckled. "I know the feeling." For a moment, they just sat there, the awkwardness fading, replaced by something more genuine. Her laugh, that deep, carefree laugh, filled the space between them, and for the first time in what felt like forever, Liam felt at ease. It wasn't the stiff, businesslike environment he was used to. It wasn't the cold professionalism of his world. No, it was real. Emma was real. "You're not what I expected," she said after a moment, her voice suddenly soft. "What do you mean?" Liam asked, genuinely curious. "I thought you'd be. I don't know, more like the people I usually meet. You know, all polished and perfect." He smiled, but didn't say anything. "But you're different," she added. And then, for reasons he couldn't explain, he found himself thinking, she's right. "I am different." Before he could reply, his phone buzzed. The text message read, "Hey Emma, I'm at table 7, looking forward to meeting you." She froze, staring at the phone for a moment before looking up at him with wide eyes. "Oh my God," she muttered, embarrassment flooding her face. "You're not Kevin?" Liam shook his head slowly, a small grin tugging at his lips. She shot up from her chair, her face bright red. "I'm so sorry. I thought you were him. I'm such an idiot." She quickly grabbed her coat, her hands trembling as she tried to put it on. Liam stood up, too, feeling a strange impulse to stop her. "Wait," he said, his voice calm but firm. "It's okay. Don't go." She paused, her back still turned to him. "It's really not okay," she said, her voice cracking slightly. "I've made a fool of myself, and you're probably already thinking about leaving." He stepped forward, his tone gentle. "I'm not leaving. I'd like to stay, if that's all right with you." She turned around slowly, surprised by the sincerity in his voice. For a moment, Neither of them said anything. And then, without warning, her lips curved into a small smile. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make Liam's heart skip a beat. "Okay," she said softly. "Okay, let's stay." And just like that, everything changed. What was supposed to be a 5-minute goodbye turned into a night that neither of them would ever forget. As they sat back down, the tension from earlier melted away. Emma, still a little embarrassed but genuinely grateful for his kindness, tried to steer the conversation back to normal. "So," she said, breaking the silence, "what do you really do?" Liam smiled, leaning back in his chair. It was clear she wasn't like the other women he had met. She wasn't fishing for compliments or trying to impress him with shallow questions. She was just curious, in a real, unguarded way. "I work in tech," he replied simply. It wasn't a lie, but it was far from the full truth. He could see her eyes light up. "Tech, huh? That sounds cool. Like coding, apps and all that." He nodded, intrigued by how easily she accepted his vague answer. "Something like that," he said, his mind racing. He wanted to say more, to reveal who he really was, but he wasn't sure yet. There was something about her, something that made him feel like he needed to protect this moment. They talked for a while, about her work, her dreams of opening her own art studio, and the challenges she faced every day. Emma was open, vulnerable even, in a way that Liam hadn't experienced in a long time. She shared stories about the struggles of paying rent, how she juggled multiple jobs, and how she often wondered if her dreams of becoming a successful artist were even possible. Her voice carried a quiet strength, and for the first time in a long while, Liam felt like he was talking to someone who didn't care about his wealth or status. The conversation flowed easily, with neither of them feeling the need to impress the other. It felt like they were just two people, sitting across from each other, sharing a moment of real connection. As the evening wore on, Liam found himself laughing more than he had in weeks. He couldn't remember the last time he'd felt this relaxed, this at peace. It was refreshing to be in the presence of someone who didn't see him as a walking paycheck. They talked about everything: art, music, their favorite movies, and even their childhoods. Emma revealed that her dream was to open an art gallery, a place where she could showcase her work and the work of other artists who couldn't afford to have their voices heard. Liam was fascinated by her passion, by the way she spoke about her future as if it were a beautiful, tangible thing, just waiting to be realized. He wondered how many people in her life had told her she was dreaming too big, or that it was impractical to chase such a goal. But she wasn't discouraged. She had fire in her, something that Liam hadn't seen in years. "You know," she said, leaning in slightly, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I know it's a big dream, but I really believe in it. I've always wanted to create something meaningful, not just for me, but for other people too. I want to give artists like me a chance." Liam stared at her, captivated by her determination. He had met countless people who had dreams, but none of them spoke about them the way she did. There was something raw and real in her words, something that made him feel like he needed to help her, even if just a little. "I believe in you," he said, surprising even himself. Emma blinked, taken aback by his sincerity. She smiled softly, her cheeks flushing. "Thank you," she whispered. They sat in silence for a moment, just looking at each other. There was no need for words. The connection between them was undeniable. After a while, the waiter came by to ask if they needed anything else, but they were both lost in their own world, not quite ready to break the moment. Liam looked at his watch and realized how late it had gotten. "I should probably get going," he said reluctantly, his voice tinged with regret. Emma nodded, though she felt the same way. She wasn't ready for the night to end, but she also knew that this was a moment she would never forget. As they stood up, Liam reached for his wallet to pay the bill, but Emma stopped him. "Let me," she said quickly, pulling out her own wallet. Liam raised an eyebrow, surprised. "You sure?" he asked, teasing. "It's my treat," she replied with a mischievous grin. He chuckled, nodding. "All right, I'll let you win this time." As Emma paid, she caught sight of the waiter's surprised expression, clearly confused by the dynamic of their interaction. She paid no mind, though. The moment felt too perfect to worry about what others thought. Liam and Emma walked out together into the cool night air. The city lights twinkled in the distance, and the hustle and bustle of the world seemed to fade away. For a brief moment, it felt like it was just the two of them in the world. Liam turned to her. "You know," he said, his voice softer now, I had no idea this date would turn out like this. It was supposed to be just another quick goodbye, but I'm really glad I stayed." Emma smiled, her eyes glistening. "Me too," she said quietly. As they parted ways, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that something important had just begun. Something that went beyond the usual small talk and surface-level interactions. And for the first time in a long time, he was looking forward to what the future might hold. He watched her walk away, wondering if he'd see her again. And if he did, he was sure it wouldn't be by accident. Now, let's return to our main character. The following week, Liam found himself thinking about Emma more than he expected. The night they spent together had left a lasting impression on him. It wasn't just her beauty or her dream of opening an art gallery that had caught his attention. It was her heart, her authenticity. The way she spoke about her future, about helping others, was different from anything he had ever heard before. He had met countless people in his life, but none of them had this kind of fire in their eyes. None of them had the kind of genuine passion that she did. For days, Liam couldn't shake the thought of her. He found himself thinking about their conversation, about the way she laughed, about the moments they shared that night. He had been so caught up in his world of business, technology, and superficial interactions, but Emma had made him realize how much he had been missing. Real human connections, real moments of joy. He couldn't remember the last time he had felt so alive. It wasn't just a fleeting attraction. It was something deeper, something he hadn't expected to find in a simple blind date. He had to see her again. He didn't know why, but he did. As he sat in his office, surrounded by his usual work, he found himself distracted by thoughts of Emma. He glanced at the clock, then at his phone, debating whether or not to call her. After a few moments of hesitation, he picked up his phone and sent her a text. "Hey Emma, I hope you're doing well. I was thinking about our last conversation, and I'd love to grab a coffee with you sometime soon. Let me know if you're free." He put his phone down and waited, his heart racing slightly. It wasn't like him to feel nervous about texting someone. Normally, he was confident, in control, but this felt different. When his phone buzzed a few minutes later, he immediately picked it up, his eyes scanning her message. "Hi Liam, I'd love that. I've been thinking about our conversation too. How about Saturday afternoon?" He smiled to himself, feeling a sense of relief. "Saturday sounds perfect," he replied quickly. They set the time and place, and Liam couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. Saturday came quickly, and Liam found himself waiting at the coffee shop, feeling more anxious than he'd like to admit. He had been on countless business meetings, and yet this felt different. Emma arrived a few minutes later, looking as beautiful as ever. She was wearing a simple white blouse and jeans, but there was something about her presence that made everything else fade into the background. As she walked toward him, she smiled, and Liam felt his heart skip a beat. "Hey, Liam," she said, her voice warm and genuine. "It's so good to see you again." "You too, Emma," he replied, standing up to greet her. They hugged. Briefly, a comfortable, friendly hug, before sitting down. For the next hour, they talked about everything and nothing, about art, about their favorite books, about the things they hoped for in life. It was easy, comfortable, and for the first time in a long time, Liam felt like he was being himself. They laughed, shared stories, and connected in a way that felt natural and effortless. It was like they had known each other for years, not just a few days. As the afternoon wore on, Liam realized that he didn't want the conversation to end. He didn't want to say goodbye to her just yet. "So, how's the art gallery coming along?" he asked, genuinely curious. Emma's eyes lit up as she began to talk about her plans. She spoke with such passion, and Liam found himself completely captivated by her vision. "I've been looking at potential spaces," she said. "It's a lot of work, but I can't wait to make it happen. I want to create a place where people can come together, where artists can share their work and their stories. It's about building a community, not just a business." Liam listened intently, impressed by her drive and determination. "That's incredible," he said. "I think you're going to do amazing things." "Thank you," she replied, her smile brightening. "It means a lot to hear that." They continued talking for another hour, but eventually, the sun began to set, casting a soft golden glow over the cafe. It was getting late, and Liam knew they had to wrap things up. As they stood to leave, Liam felt a sense of reluctance. He didn't want the evening to end. "I had a great time today, Emma," he said, his voice sincere. "Me too," she replied. "Let's do this again sometime." "Definitely," he said, smiling. As they walked out of the coffee shop, Liam felt a strange sense of peace. He wasn't sure where this would lead, but for the first time in a long time, he was excited about the possibilities. He had never believed in fate or destiny, but something about Emma made him start to think maybe, just maybe, there was something more to life than work and success. Maybe there was room for love, too. Now, let's return to our main character. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Liam and Emma continued to meet regularly, each encounter feeling more natural than the last. They explored new cafes, attended art shows, and even spent an afternoon at the park, laughing at the antics of a street performer. Each moment felt like a breath of fresh air for Liam. He had never felt so alive, so in tune with someone else. Emma, on the other hand, felt a sense of calm she hadn't experienced in a long time. She had always been independent, fiercely focused on her dreams, but with Liam, she felt seen in a way she never had before. He listened, really listened, to her ideas, to her passions, to her fears. She found herself sharing more with him than she had with anyone in years. But with each passing day, the weight of the secret Liam was carrying grew heavier. He knew he couldn't keep his identity hidden from Emma forever. He had been honest with her in so many ways, yet one truth still loomed over them. The truth about who he really was. It wasn't that he didn't trust her. He did. He admired her in ways he hadn't expected. But there was a fear inside him that wouldn't go away. What if she only liked him because of the person she thought he was? What if revealing the truth shattered everything between them? As the days passed, Liam struggled with this inner conflict. He tried to focus on the present, on the joy he found in Emma's company, but the weight of his secret continued to grow. He knew he needed to tell her, but he also knew it wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't until one evening, during a dinner at a small Italian restaurant, that the opportunity finally presented itself. Emma had been talking about a new art project she was working on, a series of portraits capturing the essence of people who had overcome adversity. She was passionate, her eyes lighting up as she spoke. Liam found himself captivated by her, but at the same time, he couldn't help but feel the guilt rising inside him. The time had come. He could feel it. Emma, he said softly, his voice steady but tinged with apprehension. She paused mid-sentence, turning to look at him. What's wrong? She asked, concern in her eyes. Liam took a deep breath. He had never felt more vulnerable in his life. There's something I need to tell you. He began, his heart pounding. I haven't been completely honest with you. Emma's expression softened, but her curiosity grew. What do you mean? She asked, setting down her fork. Liam reached for his drink, his hands shaking slightly as he took a sip. I never told you exactly who I am, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Emma's brow furrowed in confusion. What do you mean? You're Liam, right? I know who you are. Liam shook his head. No, I mean what I do, who I really am. I've been hiding it from you because I didn't want it to affect how you see me. She looked at him, puzzled. I don't understand, she said gently. You're the same person I've been spending time with, Liam. What's this really about? Liam hesitated for a moment before speaking. I'm the CEO of Parker Technologies, he said, his voice heavy with the weight of the confession. Emma's eyes widened in shock. What? She whispered, her voice trembling. I didn't want you to think I was just some rich guy who was only interested in you because of your art, or because you're different, Liam continued, his words rushing out now. I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to lose what we have. Emma sat back, stunned. The words hung in the air between them, thick with the unspoken tension. For a long moment, neither of them said anything. Liam could feel the space between them growing, the fear of her rejection creeping into his chest. Finally, Emma broke the silence. Liam, she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He looked up at her, his heart heavy. I was afraid, he admitted. I didn't know how you would react, and I didn't want you to see me differently. Emma took a deep breath, her expression softening. Liam, she said again, her eyes locking with his. I like you for who you are. I don't care about your title or your wealth. What matters is the person you've shown me you are, the person who listens, who cares, who supports me. Liam's heart swelled with relief, and for the first time in weeks, he felt the weight of his secret lift. But what about all the things you said about wanting to help people, about your art? I didn't want to get in the way of that. Emma smiled gently, reaching across the table to take his hand. I'm not worried about that. We both have our dreams, and I believe we can support each other in them. I want to see you succeed, just as much as I want to see myself succeed. Liam's chest tightened with emotion as he looked into her eyes, seeing the sincerity there. Thank you, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I'm so glad you understand. They sat in silence for a moment, simply holding each other's gaze. The tension that had been hanging in the air had dissolved, replaced by a quiet, peaceful connection. For the first time in a long time, Liam felt truly at ease. And in that moment, he realized that love wasn't about titles, wealth, or status. It was about being with someone who truly saw you for who you were, who accepted you, flaws and all. As they finished their meal, Liam knew that this was just the beginning. Their story was far from over, and he couldn't wait to see where it would take them. Now, let's return to our main character. After that night, everything between Liam and Emma felt different in the best possible way. The tension that had been building up in Liam's chest seemed to vanish. He no longer had to hide who he was, and Emma, with her kind heart and unwavering support, made him feel like he could finally be himself. Over the next few weeks, they grew even closer, spending their days together, talking about everything from their childhoods to their dreams. Emma's art project started to gain momentum, and Liam found himself offering advice and support whenever he could. He didn't just see her as someone he was dating. He saw her as a partner, someone whose dreams he genuinely wanted to help come true. As the weather began to warm, they spent more time outdoors, visiting art galleries, walking through parks, and even taking short weekend trips. It felt natural, effortless, and Liam couldn't remember the last time he had been this happy. Yet, with every moment that passed, a part of him couldn't shake the feeling that something more was coming. A sense of impending change hung in the air, though he wasn't sure what that change would be. One evening, as they sat together in a small cafe near the river, Emma spoke up about something that had been on her mind for a while. Liam, she began, her voice soft yet filled with determination. I've been thinking a lot about my art gallery. I'm at a crossroads. I found a place I really like, but the costs are a lot more than I expected. I'm not sure how to make it work. Liam looked at her, a small smile forming on his lips. I believe in you, Emma. I know you'll make it happen. You always find a way, he said, reaching across the table to take her hand. Emma squeezed his hand, but the uncertainty in her eyes was clear. I know you do, but I think I might need help. I've been so focused on this dream, but now I'm not sure how I'll afford it. I'm thinking of applying for grants, but I'm still not sure it'll be enough. Liam thought for a moment, then gently leaned forward. If you need help, I want to be there for you, he said, his voice earnest. I don't want you to feel like you have to do this alone. Emma looked at him, surprised. I didn't want to ask you for anything, she admitted, her voice tinged with vulnerability. I didn't want to seem like I was taking advantage of your success. Liam shook his head, his expression sincere. It's not about that. It's about supporting you, just like you've supported me. If I can help you make this dream come true, I will. It's not about money. It's about helping someone I care about reach their potential. Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She had never expected to find someone who truly cared for her in this way, who believed in her without hesitation. She had always been so independent, but the kindness in Liam's words made her realize how much she needed his support. Thank you, she whispered, her voice barely audible. You don't have to do this, but it means more to me than you know. Liam smiled warmly, his thumb gently brushing the back of her hand. You're not alone in this, Emma. I've got your back, no matter what. They sat in silence for a few moments, the quiet comfort of each other's presence filling the space. Emma felt a sense of relief wash over her. The weight of her worries seemed to lift, replaced by a sense of partnership, a feeling of knowing that together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. Over the next few weeks, Liam helped Emma with her gallery project in every way he could. He connected her with people in his network who could offer advice, helped her organize fundraising events, and even offered to invest in her dream if needed. Emma's project began to take shape, slowly but surely, and Liam found himself more involved in her world than ever before. It wasn't just about business or investments for him. It was about seeing Emma's eyes light up when she talked about her gallery. It was about hearing the excitement in her voice when she described the artists she wanted to showcase. Every step she took toward making her dream a reality was a step Liam wanted to take with her. Yet, as they navigated this journey together, Liam couldn't help but wonder about the future. He had spent so many years building his own empire, focusing on work, and now he was opening himself up to something entirely new. Could he balance both his world and Emma's? Could he continue to support her while still maintaining his own ambitions? He didn't have all the answers, but one thing was clear: he wanted to try. He wanted to build a future with Emma, a future where they could both thrive. One night, as they walked hand in hand through the city streets, the lights twinkling around them, Liam turned to Emma and asked, "What do you see for us in the future?" Emma paused, looking up at him with a thoughtful expression. "I see us growing together," she said after a moment. "I see us building something strong, not just for me, but for both of us. I see us supporting each other, no matter what happens. I see us making our dreams come true, side by side." Liam smiled, his heart swelling with emotion. "I see that too," he said, his voice full of conviction. "And I'm in it for the long haul." As they continued walking, the uncertainty that had once clouded Liam's mind began to clear. He didn't have all the answers, but for the first time in a long time, he knew that with Emma by his side, they could face whatever came their way. Now, let's return to our main character. As the months went by, Emma's art gallery project continued to blossom, thanks in no small part to Liam's unwavering support. He had become her biggest ally, not just with the practicalities of running a business, but in helping her maintain her confidence and passion. Together, they made decisions, created plans, and worked toward a shared vision. Despite the challenges they faced, there was always a sense of unity between them, a quiet understanding that they were in this together, no matter what. Yet, for Liam, things weren't always as smooth as they appeared. As much as he loved spending time with Emma and helping her build her dream, there was something gnawing at him. He had been putting so much focus on helping her achieve her goals that he had unintentionally put his own on the back burner. He realized that he had grown so comfortable with the idea of supporting Emma that he hadn't thought much about what he wanted next. His own life and work had always been about success and numbers, but now, he found himself wondering what truly mattered. One evening, as they sat in a small cafe near Emma's new gallery space, Liam decided to open up about what had been on his mind. "Emma," he started, his voice softer than usual, "there's something I've been thinking about." Emma looked up from her notebook, where she was jotting down some ideas for the gallery's opening event. "What's going on?" she asked, sensing the shift in his tone. Liam took a deep breath. "I've been so focused on helping you with your gallery, on supporting your dreams, that I've lost sight of my own. I don't know if I've ever really thought about what I want for myself, beyond the business stuff." Emma paused, her eyes studying him carefully. "What do you mean?" she asked, concern flickering in her eyes. Liam hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I guess what I'm trying to say is that I've been letting my career and your goals become my focus, but I think I need to figure out what I want next. I've spent years building my company, and I've always thought that success would give me everything I needed. But lately, I've been questioning that." Emma put down her pen and reached across the table to take his hand. "Liam," she said gently, "I can understand that. You've given so much to this relationship and to my dreams, but you're allowed to focus on your own, too. We both deserve to build a future where we're both happy, where we both have space for our passions." Her words struck a chord with him. He had been so consumed by the idea of being the one who helped Emma achieve her dreams that he had forgotten about his own aspirations. "I don't know what that future looks like," Liam admitted, "but I think I need to figure it out. I've spent so long in the business world, in the chaos of numbers and deadlines. Maybe it's time for a change." Emma smiled softly. "Whatever that change is, I'm here for you, Liam. You don't have to go through it alone. Just like I've been able to lean on you, I want to be there for you, too." Her words filled him with warmth and gratitude. For the first time in a long time, Liam realized that life wasn't just about what you achieved or how much money you made. It was about finding balance, about making sure that both people in a relationship had space to grow and pursue their own dreams. And with Emma by his side, he knew that anything was possible. As the evening wore on, they continued to talk about their individual dreams, about the future, and what they hoped for. Liam found himself more at peace than he had been in years. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he was starting to get a glimpse of what truly mattered, supporting each other's growth, finding joy in the small moments, and knowing that together, they could achieve anything. Weeks later, Emma's gallery finally opened its doors to the public. The event was a huge success, drawing a crowd of art lovers, critics, and supporters. Liam was by her side the entire time, proudly watching her interact with the guests, her eyes glowing with excitement as her dream came to life. But this time, it wasn't just about the gallery for Liam. It was about the future they were building together, the life they were creating side by side. As the night went on, Liam couldn't help but feel a deep sense of pride, not just in Emma's accomplishments, but in their shared journey. When the last guest had left and the gallery was quiet again, Emma turned to Liam, her smile soft and content. "I couldn't have done this without you," she said, her voice filled with emotion. Liam smiled, squeezing her hand. "And you couldn't have done it without yourself. You've worked so hard for this, Emma. You've made it happen." She smiled, leaning into him. "We've made it happen, Liam." Together. As they stood there, looking at the gallery that had become a symbol of everything they had worked for, Liam realized something. This was just the beginning. The road ahead was long, but with Emma by his side, he knew they could face whatever challenges came their way. Their love, their partnership, and their dreams were intertwined, and there was nothing they couldn't accomplish together. Now, let's return to our main character. The success of Emma's gallery opening was just the beginning of something bigger. As the weeks passed, they settled into a rhythm of balancing their personal and professional lives. Emma's gallery was thriving, attracting more artists and art lovers each day, and Liam found himself more involved in her world, often attending events, meeting with potential partners, and offering advice on how to grow the business even further. The more time they spent together, the more Liam realized how much he had come to rely on Emma's strength, her passion, and her unwavering belief in what they were building. He admired her more each day, not just for her artistic vision, but for her determination and her heart. But even as their lives seemed to be falling into place, Liam couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that had been creeping up on him for weeks. It was a sense of unease, the kind that comes when you realize that something isn't quite as perfect as it seems. He had spent so many years building his business empire, and despite his growing love for Emma, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had neglected his own dreams. He had helped Emma achieve hers, but now he found himself questioning his own path. What did he truly want in life? What did he want beyond the world of tech and numbers? He didn't know, but he knew one thing for sure. He didn't want to lose the progress they had made, both in their relationship and in their shared goals. One evening, after a long day of meetings and gallery events, Liam sat with Emma on the balcony of their apartment, looking out at the city lights below. The air was cool, and the soft hum of the city felt oddly comforting. Emma was talking about the next big exhibition at the gallery, but Liam couldn't quite focus on her words. His mind was elsewhere, turning over the questions that had been bothering him. Finally, he spoke up. "Emma," he said, his voice quieter than usual, "I've been thinking a lot lately." She paused, turning to him with a concerned look. "About what?" she asked. Liam took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "About me. About what I want. I've been so focused on supporting you and helping you build your gallery, but I think I've lost sight of my own goals. I don't want to just keep going through the motions." Emma looked at him, her eyes soft with understanding. "Liam," she said gently, "I've seen how hard you've worked for me, and I can't tell you how much that means to me. But you don't have to lose yourself in the process. We can support each other, you know? You deserve to pursue your own dreams, too." Liam nodded, but there was still a part of him that felt unsure. "I don't even know what my dreams are anymore," he admitted. "I've been so focused on the success of the business, I've forgotten what it feels like to just want something for myself. It's like I've been living someone else's life." Emma reached out and took his hand, squeezing it gently. "You don't have to have it all figured out right now, but you deserve the space to figure it out, Liam. You've given so much of yourself to others. Now it's time to think about what you want." Her words settled over him like a warm blanket, and for the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of calm. He had always been so driven, so focused on the next big thing, that he had forgotten the importance of pausing, of listening to his own heart. He looked at Emma, seeing her in a new light. She wasn't just the woman he loved. She was the person who helped him see beyond the limits he had placed on himself. "I think I'm starting to understand," he said softly. "Maybe it's not about having everything figured out. Maybe it's just about taking a step back and giving myself permission to dream again." Emma smiled, her eyes full of pride. "Exactly," she said. "It's never too late to start something new, Liam. You've already built something incredible, but there's more out there for you. Don't be afraid to go after it. That night, as Liam lay in bed, his mind racing with the possibilities, he realized that he didn't need all the answers right away. He didn't have to know exactly where his life was going or what the future held. What mattered was that he was finally willing to take the time to listen to himself, to rediscover the things that had once inspired him. He knew he wanted to be there for Emma, to support her, but now he also knew he needed to give himself the same opportunity to grow. The next day, Liam made the decision to take a break from his usual routine, to step back from the day-to-day operations of his company and focus on what truly mattered. He was going to find his own path, a path that would allow him to grow alongside Emma, not just as her partner, but as his own person. Emma, of course, was supportive. She understood his need for self-discovery, and she reassured him that whatever he decided to do, she would be there by his side. It wasn't about choosing one dream over the other. It was about realizing that they both deserved to thrive in their own ways. As the weeks went by, Liam began to explore new opportunities. He took some time to travel, to meet new people, and to explore areas of his life that had always been on the periphery. And with each new experience, he grew more confident in his ability to create a life that was truly his own. And all the while, Emma continued to grow her gallery, supported by Liam's love and belief in her. The two of them were building something together, something beautiful, something real, and Liam knew that no matter where their individual paths led, they would always have each other. Now, let's return to our main character. Months passed, and both Liam and Emma continued to thrive in their own ways. Emma's art gallery had become a well-known hub for both emerging and established artists, with her vision slowly turning into a reality. Liam, on the other hand, had been quietly reinventing himself, traveling, meeting with different people, and discovering new interests outside the tech world. It wasn't an easy journey for him. There were moments of doubt, times when he wondered if he was truly on the right path. But with each passing day, he felt more confident about the direction he was heading, and more certain that the journey wasn't just about work, but about living a life that was fulfilling on every level. As much as Emma had her own dreams, so did Liam. And it was clear that they both had come to understand that supporting one another didn't mean sacrificing their own personal growth. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Liam found himself sitting on the balcony of their apartment, looking out over the city skyline. He had been reflecting on everything that had happened, on the progress they had both made. His thoughts drifted to Emma. She had been the one to encourage him to take time for himself, to rediscover his passions. And now, as he looked back, he could see how much he had grown, how much clearer his own purpose had become. He realized that it wasn't about abandoning one thing to chase another. It was about integrating the two parts of his life, bringing his career and his personal life into harmony. He smiled to himself, a sense of peace washing over him. Just then, Emma came out onto the balcony, a cup of tea in hand. She sat down beside him, her presence as comforting as always. "Hey," she said softly, "you've been quiet tonight. What's on your mind?" Liam looked at her, his heart swelling with affection. "I've been thinking a lot," he said. "About everything. About us, about my future, about how much I've changed over these last few months." Emma smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder. "I've noticed that," she said gently. "You've really come into your own, Liam. I'm proud of you." He chuckled softly, the sound light and full of warmth. "Thanks, but I couldn't have done it without you," he said, his voice sincere. "You've helped me find a part of myself I didn't even know I was missing." Emma looked up at him, her eyes full of love. "And you've helped me grow, too. We're in this together, Liam. You've always had my back, and I'm always going to have yours." There was a long moment of silence as they sat together, watching the world go by. The noise of the city seemed distant, and all that mattered was the quiet comfort of each other's company. Liam felt more at home than he ever had before, not just with Emma, but within himself. His journey of self-discovery wasn't over, but he had come so far, and he felt like he was finally on the right track. "You know," he said softly, breaking the silence, "I think I'm ready to take the next step. In my life, I mean. I've been holding back, but now I feel like I have the courage to really go after what I want. Not just for the company, but for me. For us." Emma turned to him, her eyes sparkling. "What does that mean?" she asked, her voice filled with curiosity. Liam smiled, his eyes meeting hers. It means that I'm ready to put my whole heart into the things that matter most. My work, our relationship, and building a future together that's not just about success, but about happiness. I'm ready to make our dreams real, not just for me, but for both of us. Emma's face lit up with joy, and she reached for his hand, squeezing it tightly. I'm so proud of you, Liam, she said, her voice full of emotion. And I believe in you. I always have. They sat together, the city lights casting a soft glow around them, and for the first time in a long time, Liam felt like everything was exactly where it was meant to be. The future, once uncertain, now felt full of possibilities. They weren't just building separate dreams, they were building something together. A life where both of them could grow, evolve, and find happiness. As the days passed, Liam continued to take steps toward his own personal goals, finding a balance between his work and his relationship with Emma. He took on new projects that inspired him, while also making more time for the things that mattered, like his health, his passions, and, most importantly, his love for Emma. Together, they shared moments of quiet joy, building a foundation for a future they both believed in. One day, as they sat together in the gallery, watching a new exhibition come to life, Liam turned to Emma with a thoughtful expression. You know, he said, I think we've built something beautiful here. Not just the gallery, but everything. The life we're creating. I don't think I've ever felt more at peace with where I am. Emma smiled, her eyes shining with affection. I feel the same way, she said. We've come so far, and we're just getting started. Together, there's nothing we can't do. Liam kissed her gently, a promise of everything they would create in the future. They were ready for whatever came next, as long as they had each other. Now, let's return to our main character. As the months turned into a year, Liam and Emma continued to build their lives together, each day bringing new challenges and new triumphs. Emma's gallery had become a staple in the art community, a place where creativity flourished, and emerging artists found a platform to share their work with the world. The vision she had fought for was finally becoming a reality, and Liam couldn't have been prouder of her. They had shared countless late nights discussing ideas, plans, and dreams, but through it all, their bond had only grown stronger. For Liam, the process of supporting Emma's dream had been just as rewarding as his own journey of self-discovery. He had never imagined how much fulfillment he could find in helping someone else pursue their passion. Emma had given him a renewed sense of purpose, reminding him that there was more to life than just success and wealth. He had found balance, peace, and a deep sense of connection, not just with Emma, but with himself. Yet, despite everything they had achieved, Liam knew that the true measure of their happiness was not in the gallery's success or the recognition they received. It was in the simple moments they shared, quiet evenings spent talking, laughter filling the air as they cooked dinner together, or long walks hand in hand through the park. One evening, as they stood in the gallery after the closing of another successful exhibition, Emma turned to Liam with a smile that spoke volumes. I've been thinking, she said softly, her voice filled with warmth, about the future and everything we've built. Liam looked at her, his heart swelling with affection. What about it? He asked, his voice low and gentle. Emma took a deep breath, as if gathering her thoughts. I think we've come a long way, Liam. We've both grown so much, and we've built something beautiful here. But I also think it's time for the next step. I want to keep growing, not just in the gallery, but in our relationship, too. Liam's heart skipped a beat. He had been so focused on their progress, on the gallery's success, that he hadn't considered what Emma was saying. It wasn't just about the business anymore. It was about their personal lives, their shared future. What do you mean? He asked, his voice filled with curiosity. Emma smiled, her eyes shining with excitement. I want us to take a step forward, to start thinking about our next chapter. Maybe it's time to settle down, to build a home together. A place where we can both work, create, and just be ourselves. The words hung in the air between them, and for a moment, Liam was silent. He had always been focused on building his empire, on achieving success, but now he realized that true happiness wasn't just about what he had accomplished. It was about the life they could build together, a life where they both supported each other's dreams and ambitions. I think you're right, Liam said finally, his voice full of emotion. I've spent so much time trying to build something outside of myself, but now I see that the real success is in building a future with you. A life where we both have room to grow, to support each other, and to be happy. Emma's smile widened, her heart swelling with joy. "I'm so glad you feel the same way," she said softly, her voice full of affection. "I want us to have everything we've dreamed of, together." Liam pulled her close, his arms wrapping around her in a warm embrace. In that moment, he realized that everything he had been searching for had been right in front of him all along. It wasn't about the money, the success, or the accolades. It was about the person standing beside him, the one who had helped him rediscover what truly mattered. As they stood together, surrounded by the art they had both worked so hard to bring to life, Liam knew that this was just the beginning. Their love, their partnership, was the foundation of something even greater. They had built a life together, and they would continue to build it, step by step, hand in hand. Whatever the future held, Liam was ready for it. He was ready to embrace it with Emma by his side. And as they looked toward the future, they knew one thing for sure. Their journey together was far from over. Now, let's return to our main character.